Hello, everyone. Randy Harrington here. Tonight, I put together a story from a friend of mine who told me about a roadside encounter that he had back in 1998 uh, coming across Colorado on I-70. Uh, so I've got quite a few people who have told me Bigfoot encounters and stories over the years that I've just kind of tucked back and logged in my mind or wrote them down because I didn't know at the time that I would eventually be trying to put stories together on YouTube videos. But his is one that I reached out to him, and his name is Tom, and he lives here in my town. And I asked him to give me all the details that he could on that sighting that he had, that he mentioned to me before. So I was able to put together a pretty good timeline and a pictures of everything according to the story, the way it unfolds. So let's get into it. Now, on I 70, about 60 miles west of Denver, is a tunnel called the Eisenhower Tunnel. I mean, it was finished. Well, one of the tunnels, one of the lanes was finished in 73, and then it took 6 years to finish the other tunnel, so 79. Uh, but uh, Tom told me that he had just exited a tunnel on I-70, and he told me specific geological descriptions that I had to look for. I actually went down on Google Earth and followed the road until I found descriptions of what he was describing in where his sighting took place. Now, he said he came out of a tunnel and then went a ways and then had his sighting. So we've got two tunnels on I-70. The big one is this one here, which is the Eisenhower Tunnel, but there's also a smaller tunnel, and it's called Veterans Memorial Tunnels. So the Veterans Memorial Tunnel is much closer to Denver. So I went to that tunnel first and looked for the descriptions that he gave me according to his sighting. He said there was a rock wall with a lot of boulders on the side of the road that he saw this creature in or at, and between the lanes there was a gorge. He said there was a gorge between the two lanes, between the north or between the east and west bound lanes. So I went down on Google Earth and I went to the Veterans Memorial uh, tunnel here, and then I just proceeded to go east by hitting the arrows and traveling forward 100 yards each time until I found, the descriptive areas that he had described. So here's the next picture showing those descriptions. Well, here's an overview of how small the Veterans Memorial tunnels are. They're not very big. So it was easy. It was easy to take that stretch of road going into Denver looking for these geological descriptions. Okay, so one of the descriptions that he gave was a rocky boulder roadside. And this is the only one I could find on that stretch of road going into Denver after the Veterans Tunnel. But when you look over here to the left, there is no gorge between the lanes. As a matter of fact, there is a little concrete divide, so there's no gorge. So, I mean, unless there was a gorge there in the past and now there isn't, I don't know if the highway has changed that much. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some changes in the highway, but I don't think that they would reroute the lanes, to where they were separate and now they're not, because it's, you have to cut your way through these mountains if you're going to change the highway there. So it was not the Veterans Tunnel that he had exited. It was the Eisenhower Tunnel. Now the Eisenhower Tunnel is almost 2 miles long. So he came out of this tunnel here, and I'm going to show you the view on Google Earth of when you exit this tunnel, what it looks like. Okay, you got the high mountain sides, covered in evergreens. And so I followed this road all the way to the veteran tunnel, looking for the descriptions that he told me, because I wanted to make sure that I got the right spot. There was only one spot on this whole stretch of road that had the conditions that he described. So we will get to that point. And here it is. You can see the granite and boulder uh, sheer-faced walls there. And then just as you get to the end of this little stretch, that's where it kind of opens up, where there's more boulders in the debris on the sides of the road. And you can also see on the left that there is a gorge between the lanes. So this fits the description of what he was saying, even though it happened back in 1998. So let's get into the story of what happened. Well, he and his wife, which was his girlfriend at the time, her name was Sherry. So Tom and Sherry were coming back from California, and they had stopped in Mac, Colorado, and spent, I don't know if they stayed overnight or most of the day in Mac, Colorado, but when they left, it was after dark. So at the point that he had a sighting here, it was about 2:30 a.m. and it was on the right side of the road. This is what he described to me. He said that he was kind of coming around this bend and the headlights hit this creature off to the right side of the road amongst a boulder area, and caught it in its headlights, and it had a fast food bag in its hand. So forgive me for my amateur uh, pictures that I put on here, but I just found a picture, put a bag in his hand, and so imagine a creature that was, and he said it had the bag up like it was sniffing the bag, like it was sniffing the bag when the headlights hit it. So that's what he saw. They were driving in a 1976 Camaro, so it's a pretty low riding vehicle, and he said it was 8 or 9 feet tall. And when they got past it, he actually pulled over and asked his girlfriend, "Sure, did you just see that?" And she's like, "Yes." And I guess he looks back, and it had already moved up into the rocky boulder area and kind of disappeared up on the hillside. So he quickly contemplated backing up to try to get a better look, but thought better of it once you can't locate it anymore and didn't see it. Uh, so uh, he kept going. But here you can see that there's a gorge, between the lanes, and the side over there. And this is the only spot that fits what he was telling me. Now, what's interesting is the color that he said it was. He said that it was white. Now, I don't know, being that it was like 2:30 in the morning, did that play a trick on, your headlights hitting something and lighting it up lighter than it would normally be? Like maybe it could have been gray, and then when the bright headlights hit it in the darkness, it appears more whiter. But he said it was dingy yellow around its mouth, and he suggested that maybe it was dingy yellow around its mouth area because it was eating blood. I don't know. No, could be. He could also be digging out of a fast food bag. Maybe he got some ketchup on his mouth. I don't know. But he clearly had a fast food bag in his hand. Somebody discarded a fast food bag. So it was either smelling the bag or it was digging into the bag. But he said he had it up to its face area. So that is an interesting point of observation if it's true. And I have no reason to not believe what Tom is telling me. Uh, I asked him if I could interview him live, and as you would understand, a lot of people are just not interested in getting their face out there. But he doesn't mind me telling the story and giving the location and all that. I mean, it was a long time ago, so I appreciate that. This is not a long story, and I'm working on some that I think you guys are going to enjoy. One that involves the Weston State Bend Park right across the river from where I live, where I talked to a ranger and looked at some pictures that they had. So I'm going to put that together. I don't know when. I've got other ones that I'm trying to put together. So bear with me. But I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was quick. It's not a long story, but I gave you the locations. And any of you ever going through Colorado in the middle of the night and you have a sighting, especially if it's in any of these same areas that I'm putting here on these videos, I do hope you reach out to me. Maybe I might even get somebody to reach out to me who has already had sightings coming through Colorado there on I-70. So, all right then. And this is the view that he would probably be seeing as he's driving away if it hadn't already disappeared into the rocks.